So first of all, for the record, my name is Jonathan Jones. I'll be your host and moderator for the afternoon. And for all of those who are all of you who are with us right now, welcome and congratulations. If you were invited here by someone, that means they cared a lot about you, and they thought that there may be something here that could be of benefit to you. It's not because I'm not a medical doctor, and I don't ascribe to be one. I'm a researcher. In fact, I'm the director of research for the Healthcare Support Association of America. It's a small not-for-profit organization. Our objective is to disseminate information. Right now, there's a super highway of information on the internet, and you could get lost, you could drown, you could go out for tea and come back with who knows what. Just search for anything, and you get millions of pages of information. What do you trust? Where do you begin? Who knows? The one thing that we've all been taught is when you're sick, you take a pill. If you're really sick, you go to a doctor. If it's a crisis, you dial 911. That's propaganda. That's what we've been taught from childhood. Something serious, those are the steps that you take. But I had a phone conversation just yesterday. And by the way, before we get started in our discussion, I'm just passing on a few of the most recent things. And this gentleman yesterday said that I'm neither pro or anti-vaccine. So whatever you choose to do, it's completely up to you. Whichever way you go, I believe the immune system is critically important. I don't care what you do. Your immune system is a crucial part of it, and that's what we encourage and promote. But yesterday, this gentleman called up. His wife is very sick, and she's fully vaccinated, and I believe she's also had a booster shot. She works for a hospital. She's a personal trainer, so she is physically fit. There are no comorbidities at all. But now she can't move. She's suffering from what appears to be something like chronic fatigue syndrome. So he's gone to the doctor. Doctor doesn't know what to do. Send for tests. Doctor put her in for MRI. During the MRI, she goes into some kind of a convulsive fit. So they rush her over to the emergency room. The emergency room, they check her vitals. Everything is fine. So once you go back out there and wait in line, and that's going to be 3-4 hours of waiting. And so far, back and forth, they can't find anything wrong with her. I say all that to say, if you don't do something to take charge of your health, and if you don't do something to take charge of your most valuable asset, your immune system, expect to be part of the statistics. Expect it. What are the statistics? Number one, heart disease. For more than 100 years of keeping records, 120 years now of keeping records, heart disease is still the #1 cause of death in the United States of America, the wealthiest country on the planet. And heart disease is still the #1 cause of death. Number two, cancer. Cancer to this day is still the #1 cause of death. You go back to the early 1900s, and there might have been 3 out of 100 people that had cancer. Today, it's in the 60% range. The #2 cause of death. Now, if I was to ask you what the #3 cause of death was, your guesses would be all over the place. How many of you think it's diabetes? How many of you think it's lung disease or something else? Your high blood pressure. Well, you can connect that over to the heart disease. You want to know what the number 3 cause of death is? The treatment for #1 and #2. Sort of. I throw the whole medical system in there as #3. But officially, the #3 cause of death in this country is medical mistakes. Mm-hmm. It's called iatrogenics. That's the #3 cause of death in this country, medical mistakes. So #1 is heart disease, #2 is cancer, and #3 is the medical system. The third leading cause of death in this country is the medical system. Does that blow your mind? It should. So what's my recommendation? Take charge of your health. Take charge of your immune system. You decide how your strongest component in your body behaves. Prop it up And then you don't have to get caught up in number one, number two, or number three. You don't have to be part of the statistics. So with the information we provide here on this conference is not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your primary healthcare physician. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. So that's our recommendation, no matter what. I'm not telling you to do anything that I say. In fact, don't do what I say. So let me just make that clear. This information I'm providing is for information purposes only, educational purposes only. And we encourage you to take some of this information into consideration when you're making decisions about your health and well-being. You want any of the information, any of the sources of the information I provide, just send me an email, jonathan@hcsAAA.com. jonathan@hcsAAA.com, or you can send a text message, phone number 754-300-8909, 754-300-8909. Don't call, I get too many phone calls. The other thing you can do if you want to get in contact with me or ask a question or submit a question or request any sort of recommendations, the website is hcsAAA.com. hcsAAA.com. So you can request a free protocol. There's no charges for anything that we recommend. We make sometimes a little bit of money off of some of the products that we recommend for the sake of full disclosure. So that's how we get paid. If you care to offer anything to support, that's up to you. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/Jonathan Jones. If you really want to be of help, go there and like videos, share videos, and comment on videos, and subscribe to the channel. If you really want to help, if you want to be of some support, like the videos. If there's some content there that you like, click on the like button. It does matter. It sends a message to YouTube that this information is relevant. So we record most of our meetings and we post most of them there. So as I mentioned to you before, we were going to be talking about some of the latest information on the deadly Omicron. Now, at the very beginning of our discussion, I think it was Ruth that said, "Are you kidding me? I wanted to hear what are you talking about with this Omicron? You said that Omicron, we could be facing the end of the pandemic." Yes, in fact, that is a possibility. And I say it's a possibility because, no one really knows. But more than one researcher right now is making the same statement, that there's a possibility that this Omicron is behaving like a global vaccine in and of itself. I'll show you some of the data, okay? Here's the information that's out there right now. Now, the World Health Organization just, about 3 weeks ago, declared Omicron to be a variant of concern. I don't know if they changed the status or not. I really don't know. But they declared it to be a variant of concern. The reason was because it was spreading rapidly. And they saw it coming out of South Africa. They used to call, whenever a variant was identified in a particular country, they would call it the Brazilian variant, South African, or whatever they called it. But they got away from that because it was stigmatizing particular nations. So they call this one Omicron, the Greek letter O, micron meaning tiny. So that's what they were saying. It's Omicron. That's how they came up with that name. So, but that's not what you want to hear. The part that you want to hear, that picture it looks pretty deadly, doesn't it? Doesn't look like the kind of thing that you want to know. But here's the information. That's the latest information out of South Africa right now. And before you jump to conclusions, wait till you hear the whole story. But right now, if you're looking at this, are you concluding that a fourth wave of COVID is going through South Africa right now? If that's what you're concluding based off those spikes, when you see those spikes on the screen, that's indicating a rapid rise in cases. And that's all in South Africa. Right now, the number of cases is rising rapidly. And so that is what you're seeing right now. But here's the good news. The good news is the number of deaths is not only not rising, it's decreasing. So COVID is going up like a rocket, but the number of people dying from it is dropping like a rock. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that should be putting a smile on your face right now. That's the first hint. We should all be excited and happy about that. Now, Dr. Richard Friedland, you'll see his name come up in a minute, submitted a report. He's the CEO of one of the largest hospitals in South Africa. And he submitted a report. And there's some doctors and researchers who have digested some of the information. And this is some of the information I pulled from a Dr. Bean, who analyzes a lot of the latest cutting edge information that comes out on the COVID-19. And here's what Dr. I think it's Freeland. I'm trying to remember exactly what that man's name is, but you'll see it in just a moment. In his report, he says, most of the cases in hospitals that are COVID-19 positive do not require any form of oxygen therapy and are considered incidental findings. So in other words, the people who came to the hospital, they just happened to test them for COVID-19. They came to the hospital for something else. And then they happened to notice that they also had COVID-19, but they didn't need any oxygen at all. In a primary care setting, the same mild to moderate clinical picture is being experienced. And note this, it is our considered view that at this early stage, that should this trend continue, COVID-19 may be effectively managed at a primary care level, with the exception of certain cases requiring admission into some sort of medical facility. And here's a chart. Yeah, Freeland, there's his name, Dr. Richard Freeland, CEO of Netcare. And here's kind of a summary of how he breaks down what he's observing in the hospital. At the third wave, you saw I showed you the spikes on that chart. During the third wave, symptoms were severe. Now, Omicron, far milder symptoms. In wave number 3, oxygen requirement, almost everyone, huge number that needed oxygen. And the figure is not even presented in this on this chart. But notice this, in cases of Omicron, for those who come to the hospital, only 10% need oxygen. 90% don't even need oxygen, because, remember in India when Delta first came out, the reason why a lot of people died was because they couldn't get oxygen. And over here, that was a real big deal, being able to get oxygen in the hospitals. They've been talking about that. But this is what they're noticing over in South Africa now, that 90% of the people who come to the hospital don't need oxygen. And it seems that the majority can just be treated as outpatients. And then the age range is all less than 40% of them are all less than 50 years of age. The average age is 54. That was for the third wave, but now 71% are under 50 years of age. So the elderly are not being attacked, and 71% are less than 50 years of age. The average age now is less than 38.5 years. So what they're showing here, and you see that the line that I skipped, hospital admission, the third wave, community spread, and the rate were tied. Now, community spread and the rate are decoupled. So now there's no correlation between community spread and going into the hospital. Is that making sense? What this is saying is that the more Omicron spreads, the less people are getting sick from COVID-19. Is that blowing your mind? It blew my mind when I first started hearing it, because right now, you look at the news, you listen to television, right now, everyone's being scared to death and being told that because of Omicron, you better go get your booster shot. All of you who are unvaccinated, you better go get vaccinated. That's what's being presented right now, is a bunch of fear mongering. But this is a report from a CEO of Netcare Hospital in South Africa, ground zero for the Omicron variant. This is what they're seeing. So you may start to hear some of this in the news. In fact, I think I may have heard the tremblings of this report just today in the news. So here's another little bit of information that he kind of presents. During the first wave, there was 126,000 patients. Now this is 90% of those who are noted to have COVID-19 is incidental. That's what I was mentioning earlier in that statement. 90% of the Omicron or coronavirus that they're detecting right now is completely incidental. They're just happening to find out that these people have a coronavirus. It's not because they're sick or symptomatic. So they're mostly asymptomatic. And it says here that 337 were actually admitted to the hospital. Don't remember exactly what that figure is all about, so I'm just going to skip that, not going to comment on it. And as you can see from that, the second line down from there under oxygen, once again, it's indicated that only 10% of those admitted into the hospital, oh, there it is. So the number of people who actually were admitted into his hospital with COVID-19 was 337. None of them were admitted into the ICU. That's what that is. Whereas with the third wave, there was 55,000 who were admitted with COVID-19, and 26% of them were admitted into the ICU. Now, only 337 have been admitted into the hospital with coronavirus in the Omicron wave, and not even one of them has been admitted into ICU. Only 33 out of the 337 needed any oxygen, 10%, 10%. Whereas with the third wave, you notice what it says there? Every single one of them, all 55,000 people who were admitted to the hospital needed oxygen. All 55,000 needed oxygen in the third wave. The Omicron wave is barely a blip going into the hospital, and barely 10% of them need oxygen. There's an improvement, a major improvement that's taking place right now. And then it says 8 of them ended up on needing to be ventilated. So that was 8 people. And of those 8, 2 were trauma cases who just happened to also have COVID. So basically only 6 people who were admitted for COVID needed to be intubated. So that's a tremendous improvement in the statistics. So here's just a couple of points from his report. And you see the comments there. Basically, we just went over that chart, exactly what he just said. At present, 337 patients represent a fraction compared to the previous waves, said Friedland. And what's the conclusion? The very rapid rise in community transmission as compared to previous waves may partially explain this relatively low hospital admission rate. However, there does appear to be a decoupling in terms of the rate of hospital admissions at this early stage in the evolution of the 4th wave. So in other words, the more COVID is spreading now, particularly Omicron, the more it's spreading now, the less people are going into the hospital. Isn't that, that should be just staggering to contemplate. This is what's happening right now. Now, since November the 15th, they tracked the number of people who have been admitted into the hospital. This goes back to November the 19th. So out of 800 people who have been admitted into his hospital since November the 15th, 75% of them were unvaccinated. And here's what he said. He said, Netcare has seen 7 deaths over this period in this group of patients, of which 4 may be ascribed to COVID-19. The ages of these 4 patients range from 58 to 91, and all had significant comorbidities. Of these patients, 3 were not vaccinated. Okay, so are you getting that? So out of 800 people that they've tracked that was admitted to the hospital since November the 15th, they had 4 that died that they could connect to COVID-19. 3 of those who died related to COVID-19 were unvaccinated. So 4 people, 1 vaccinated, 3 that were unvaccinated that died out of the 75%, which is about 600 people that went to the hospital since November the 15th. all 4 of them had significant comorbidities. You know what that means, right? They had other life-threatening conditions, maybe cancer. Well, the highest comorbidity right now is obesity. So they could have been obese, they could have had diabetes, they had some significant health problem already. And they also just happened to have COVID-19, Omicron. So, but think about the percentages here. Now we're talking about, instead of 3% of people dying from COVID-19, that is 3 out of every 100. Now it's a half a person out of every 200 people. No, a half a person out of every 100. So it's down to 0.5%. So the number of people who are dying from COVID should drop dramatically right now. That should be exciting. That should be exciting. Now, what they haven't talked about yet is the long haul effect. No one knows yet what's happening, but there's all kinds of reasons as to why this is taking place. The science is indicating that because this virus is trying to stay alive, it's realizing that in its previous state, it was killing its host. It does not want to kill off its host. It wants to stay alive. So it has actually mutated into something less deadly, but more virulent. So it's becoming more like the common cold. And the scientists who are analyzing it right now are saying that it will displace the Delta variant. The best thing that could happen right now is for this thing to spread like wildfire. And there's one scientist who said that Omicron is the vaccine for the unvaccinated. That's what they're saying. They're saying now that Omicron is the vaccine for the unvaccinated, and it could be the end all to the pandemic. We're seeing right now the beginning, the very genesis of the pandemic coming to an end. Okay, so that's the essence of the Omicron information that I want to pass on to you guys. But I did want to say this: if you are focusing in on your immune system, we've talked about this many times on this channel right here, and I'll take your questions in just a few minutes, by the way. Realize that the reason why you want to focus on your immune system is not just because of a virus. You need to focus on your immune system because we have toxins bombarding us from every direction right now. A free radical, every time you breathe something, if you can smell it, if you smell like a cleaning chemical or something like that, you're inhaling free radicals. Those free radicals are doing damage to your lung. So don't think that just because it's a little whiff of ammonia, a little whiff of bleach or something, those are toxins going into your body. So if you smelled it, it's going into you. Those are free radicals. And those free radicals, even if you can't smell it, sometimes it's in the air, it's all around us. We're breathing in free radicals all day, every day. We're drinking free radicals. Your water may not look like this, but that's the beginning of the water. Eventually that same water right there makes it into those water bottles that we buy at the grocery store. And it even makes it into your tap water. Did you just see, I think it's in Hawaii. Yeah, it was in Hawaii, Honolulu, that jet fuel is right now coming out of the tap water. So people were drinking it and getting sick. The animals are all vomiting. Everybody's been drinking jet fuel. Turns out there's a leak in the underground storage containers of all this millions of gallons of jet fuel stored in Honolulu, and it's been leaking right down into the water table. My question to you is, what else is leaking into the drinking water? So if you're one of those people that thinks that it's okay to just drink, unfiltered water or do nothing about your immune system, you're really making a grave mistake. You're playing with fire when you do that. And the food that we eat, pesticides are being used. They even turn the plant into a pesticide itself through genetic modification, and then they're spraying weed killer on the food that we eat in such an alarming amount that most people, well, in fact, the statistic is that 80% of the grains that we eat, they found glyphosate in it. And glyphosate is weed killer, Roundup, 80%. So if you're one of those Quaker oatmeal people, and because it's healthier, I hate to break it to you, but there's weed killer in that. especially if it's genetically modified. There's weed killer in it. And so there's no wonder why heart disease and cancer is the #1 and the #2 cause of death in this country, because it's what's happening to us. We're ingesting toxins like crazy. The only thing to stop an oxidant is an antioxidant. So that's what you need, antioxidants. And they come in things like blueberries. So you see all kinds of them that's listed here on the screen. But the most powerful one is the one that your body makes. So what you need to focus on, if you're going to be focusing on your immune system, you need to focus on the most powerful antioxidant that your body makes, and that's called glutathione. Don't go out and buy glutathione. That's a waste of money. You need to buy the precursors for glutathione: glutamic acid, cysteine, and glycine. Glutamic acid and glycine, the two G's, the one on the left and the one on the right, those are pretty much common in our diet. We can get that out of everything, anything, it's glutamic acid and glycine. The cysteine is the one that's hard to get. You have to eat about 3 dozen raw eggs a day to get about 10 grams of cysteine, or you could drink about 7 gallons of raw milk per day to get about 10 grams of cysteine. Or you could eat a pickup truckload of broccoli or asparagus, if that's what you prefer, per day to get about 10 grams of cysteine. Or you could take a couple of microdaily. 4 microdaily per day gives you the amount of glutathione enhancement in acetylcysteine that you need for the day. That's why microdaily is so powerful, because it's providing that cysteine that your body badly needs. What you're looking at here is something that's not supposed to be in the body. So those yellow things on the left, the blobs that look like they're some kind of a creature from outer space, those things are not supposed to be in your body. The little white balls coming in from the right, those are your best allies right there. Those are white blood cells, and they eat up those blobs, including cancer cells. So you need as many white blood cells as possible. The glutathione promotes the monoclonal expansion of T cells. Glutathione promotes the monoclonal expansion of T cells. So the better your glutathione is in your body, the higher your T cells are. And it takes a T cell to find a cell that A, is hiding a virus, and or to make sure that the right kinds of immune system soldiers come to the rescue to eat up cancer cells. Because we have hundreds of thousands of cancer cells in our body every single day. So you're constantly fighting them. So imagine you've got your army and they've been fighting World War I every single day. And all of a sudden, before World War I can finish, World War II comes along. And then before World War II comes along, the Vietnam War comes along. And before that can finish, the Korean War comes along. Before that can finish, you're back to the Civil War. How long can your soldiers keep fighting if they're fighting so many different battles, so many wars at one time? Eventually, your soldiers get overrun, but not if you're keeping your immune system propped up, not if you're keeping it reinforced with antioxidants, not if you continue to keep your glutathione levels nice and high. Thanks to this man right here, we have the most validated, scientifically validated nutritional supplement on the planet right now, Dr. Kedar Prasad. You can see my interviews of Dr. Prasad on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Jones. I've interviewed Dr. Prasad about this book that he wrote, Fighting Cancer with Vitamins and Antioxidant. I also interviewed him about his book on fighting heart disease with vitamins and antioxidants. And those are just 2 of the most amazing interviews ever. So you can find them on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Jones. They are worth listening to. And I make no apologies for the length of time on those YouTube videos. So if you're looking for a 5-minute video, don't waste your time on my channel. My YouTube videos are filled with information, and they can be between 30 minutes and an hour long. These are the patents that Dr. Prasad's vitamin, microdaily, it was originally called military micronutrient formula. These are some of the patents that have been awarded to the product. Still to this day, my favorite is this one. Here's a vitamin that's got a patent for the treatment of diabetes mellitus. That's just amazing to me. By the way, diabetes is the #4 killer in this country. So right after medical mistakes comes diabetes. It's 130 million people who are diabetic or pre-diabetic here in this country. So, and this product is very useful for that. So this was the original formula right here, the green bottle. I highly recommend that. All of this is phenomenal, and all the original patents were with this formula right here. But Dr. Prasad took it to a whole nother level when he produced this one. This is the methylated formula. And so if you're still taking the green bottle and even the hydro, in my personal opinion, if you're taking hydro, just add 1 capsule of this to every one of your packets of hydro. Just add 1 capsule of this. But please, everyone, switch from the green bottle to the purple bottle here, because it has methylated. And this entire discussion is also on my YouTube channel, where I interviewed Dr. Prasad as to why he came up with this methylated formula. But the heart and soul of it is that your ability to absorb B12 and B9. This one has it in the methylated form. The original formula does not have B12 and B9 in the methylated form. This formula here does have it in the methylated form. So you can have a vitamin B12 deficiency. You could be eating buckets of vitamin B6 and B12, B9 and B12, and still be deficient in B12 and B9 if you're not methylating it properly, if your body's not absorbing it. But this one is maximum absorption. So why is that important? Well, a little thing called your central nervous system is dependent upon vitamin B12. So Google it. You can just Google it. Symptoms of vitamin B12 deficiency. Just Google it, and you'll see a list of things that might help you to understand why you should make sure that you take the methylated formula. Okay, so we're going to pause right here. I'm not going to go into all the details about the product in itself. Let's take some time now to answer any questions that you might have about the things that we talked about. And we're always excited to hear any stories that you would like to share as well. So let's give you the floor. It's your turn. Go ahead, Alfreda, please.
I just wanted to say, to people, I just got through leaving my daughter's house, my goddaughter's house. And interestingly, her and her husband have COVID-19. Her lungs are filled with fluid, and he looked fine, although he said he does have it. But he said that when she went, you can't even get any kind of medical help. They made her sit outside in her car for 2 hours before they would, and they still didn't do anything. They just sent her back home. So here in Akron, Ohio, so don't play around with this stuff. It's invisible. You can't see it into your body. It's just not worth it.
Wow.
Here in Ohio, we're one of the 6 states where it's getting bad again. But I think Miss Ruby, if she's still on the call, she just went through a bout. If she would like to comment about how the products helped her and her husband, and then I think her aunt too. But it's really serious. And I went inside against my other daughter's pleading. I went inside because I needed to tell somebody what to do, but I only stayed 5 minutes. But I'm going home, and I'm gonna, take some more micro daily myself, just in case.
Yep. Very good. Very wise advice. And it speaks to exactly what we're talking about. Right now the medical system is being overrun, but even if it wasn't being overrun right now, just ask yourself a question: do you want to be a part of it? If the number 3, the third highest cause of death is the medical system. Do you want to put yourself in that category? So that's all I got to say about that one. So, but thank you for sharing that, Alfreda. Okay, anyone else? Any questions or comments? Anything that you'd like to share? Something about your story, any results that you've had with Microdaily, or anything that was not clear about anything that was just mentioned? Okay, go ahead, please, Rose. Don't forget to unmute, Rose.
I was saying that in 2017 they find out on a Lifeline screening. I don't know if you're familiar with that company.
Yes.
They found plaque on my carotid on my right neck.
Mm-hmm.
And
what year was that?
Carotid.
What year
plaque.
Was that? You said
2017.
2017. Okay.
Correct. And then after 2 or 3 years, I had it performed again. It's still there, no progress. But a year ago, oh no, within this year, or no, last year, my insurance company confirmed it because I had CT scan done on my breast, and it was taken and up to my neck. So they confirmed I had it. Now, 3 weeks ago, I had another Lifeline screening done. Due to this nurse has been very insistive that I should get it, don't delay. And so I did it again. And guess what I found out? They found out that it is clear, nothing is shown. It's showing anymore. And I was surprised, and I said, what? Are you sure? I told the technician, and he said, yes, I don't see anything. And now here comes the official report, and nothing, everything is clear. They didn't find anything, no problem with me because of this 7 months Microdaily nutrients I'm taking.
Wow. That's turn your video back on, Rose. That's remarkable. And it's interesting that you're telling us this, because last month when I interviewed Dr. Prasad, one of the clinical studies that they did showed, he said they called Microdaily the poor man's Lipitor, but because the very same carotid artery that was clogged cleared up in the participants in the clinical trial. He said it got better, the artery got softer, and all the calcification had cleared up. And now you've been on Microdaily for 7 months, and a problem you've been battling with for years has reconciled. So Rose, you potentially could have been heading toward either stroke or coronary artery disease. That could have been you. Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
It saved.
So
Microdaily saved it.
It saved your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you're happy about this, I presume?
I am. I'm very thankful to Dr. Prasad and to God, of course, Jehovah God.
I bet you are thankful about that one. That's just a wonderful thing.
Now I can eat what I want now. Because I abstain from meat, all this greasy food.
That's right. That's right. But be careful. You can have it, but in moderation. So we don't mind that. But just
right. But
in moderation.
I'm still very selective on what I'm eating.
Very good. That's wise, because keep the free radicals and oxidants down. Keep them down to a minimum, and you improve your overall health. Thank you so much for telling us your story there, Rose.
Very happy.
Yeah, we may be asking you about that again someday. So don't be surprised, all right, if we don't come back and ask you about that.
Oh, sure.
Oh, that's amazing. So for those of you who are curious as to what Rose is talking about, seriously, go back in and listen to the interview of Dr. Prasad. on heart disease. So it's on my YouTube channel. Just go there and find the one on heart disease where I interviewed Dr. Prasad about it. And in there, he mentions exactly what Rose just got confirmation of. This is the first person I've actually heard directly connected to that particular benefit from taking micro daily. Now, these are anecdotal testimonials now, so let's keep that in mind. Testimonials are purely anecdotal because we don't really know all the circumstances surrounding a person's health situation and all the details. But Rose certainly believes micro daily is what's made the difference for her.
So, I sure did.
That's wonderful. Okay, let's Valencia. Valencia Upshaw has a question or a comment. Please go ahead.
I just like to say for anybody who's on a panel right now who's skeptical, I just got back from Florida and I've been there back and forth for at least 2 to 4 months. And I've returned and I'm fine because everybody was worried about, oh no, you're going to Florida, you know, I got to be careful. But I was on the micro daily every day. So I'm back home now and I'm still fine.
That's good. That's good. Well, congratulations. You made the trip fine. And just in case you're wondering, I've been living in Florida now for probably the past, I moved back to Florida back in 1988. No, I moved back here in late 86 and I've lived here since 86 and I'm fine. So, and believe me when I say I'm around a lot of folks that that are reckless and that behave as if there is no pandemic going on. So I do believe that my immune system is in right now, I believe my immune system is capable of dealing with whatever is trying to attack it. So I'm confident of that too. So congratulations, Valencia. Glad you are successful as well.
Thank you.
James Peters, your comment, please.
I just wanted to speak on how well the brain boost is working for me. Normally, you could tell me your name. Next 5 minutes, I think, what was your name again? Yep. But now I can actually explain how microdaily and cancer work together. I mean, I can go deep into it. And no way I used to do that. So that shows me that it's working.
We are so excited to hear that, James. So watch out. We're going to have you host this channel one day. So watch out. That is just wonderful to hear. So congratulations. You keep it up. Stay the course. All right. Let's see. Michelle Garlic has a question or a comment. Michelle Garlic. Don't forget to unmute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Garlic, and I have a testimony. The end of October, I had an operation for kidney stones, and I was really concerned about my surgery. Well, first, I'd like to thank God for blessing me with a successful surgery. And I'd like to thank my 2 sister friends who introduced me to Micro Daily, Sister Belinda Washington and Miss Avis Ridley. And I also like to thank Dr. Prasad for his nutrients. I had an operation for kidney stones, and I knew that I wasn't feeling good for quite a number of years. I didn't know what it was until I found out. And I was really concerned 2 weeks before I had my surgery because the surgeon, they had sent me some information that I had to have a COVID test. And I haven't had any shots or anything because I just had like flashbacks and kind of like nightmares of when I had a vaccination back in 2016 for a flu shot.
Mhm.
And it had a severe effect on me where I lost my taste and my smell for like 5 years as of this October.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yes, sir. And I was really fearful of getting the COVID shot. So I have not had any shots. And the doctor told me that I would have to be tested for the COVID. And I was thinking in my mind that I had to have shots, but I said, well, I really needed this surgery because I've been sick for a long time. And so only thing I had to do was they had to swab my nose and everything. So at the end of the week, when the tech had called me to let me know whether I had tested positive or negative for my surgery, and so she told me that I tested a negative, and I had prayed so much to God, and I guess it was like tears of joy, and I couldn't take my micro daily for 2 weeks before my surgery, and I prayed so hard because I know I needed this surgery because I need to get rid of all those stones that I had, and so only thing I could do was stop taking my micro daily, and I drank lemon water every day. Well, I drank that every day anyway, and I was just so overjoyed that to know that these products had really helped me so much that I had to risk not taking uh, my surgery, because I couldn't take my micro daily. But I was really blessed that I passed and I had my surgery and I'm doing well. And then the doctors had given me like some powerful medication, and I really didn't need it because after my surgery, I got back on my micro daily because I asked the doctor when could I take my vitamins again. So she said, well, you
Yeah.
can start back right away. So I just really feel blessed from Dr. Prasad coming up with these products that really help people more naturally. So I just wanted to thank him and thank you for sharing with us with your stories in this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and congratulations. We're happy to hear
Thank you.
stories like yours. And congratulations that you have a friend who cared enough about you to
Yes,
introduce
they
you
do.
to this, because a lot of us will keep quiet. We're afraid that someone might think funny about us if we tell them about something as powerful as this. But this is not just any old multivitamin. So it's congratulations that Avis cared enough about you to tell you about the product. So that's wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Miss Avis and Sister B. Thank you so much. I
Yes,
love y'all.
yes. That's a wonderful thing. So those are just some of the stories that keep coming up. I told you guys that about a month and a half ago or so, we talked about the importance of oral hygiene. And so we went all into that, and my hygienist was yelling at me. I was trying all kinds of things. And I just have to tell you this last story before we transition off, and we'll have a brief business meeting. Actually, the business meeting is going to be a little longer today, but I have to tell you this brief story. I've been putting off going back to the hygienist because of, you guys knew what I was experimenting with. So for those of you who are here for the first time, just hearing this story and have not heard it, get back on my channel, listen to the whole program on dental health, okay? Because turns out there's bacteria hiding inside our mouth that's killing us. And you could actually have a major infection that's infiltrated into your lymphatic system